name tags that not just have your first initial and last name, but your full first name. I thought this was just S-Spine for a long time until I knew this was the Shelley that everyone talks about. Yeah. So, you know, a few things. I lived in and out of the neighborhood for about a decade with my wife, who is a professor at community college, Bronx Community College. For CUNY, I founded and run a nonprofit trade association that represents the small business community in New York City. So I am inundated 24/7, day in, day out, with all of these issues that I know everyone cares about, whether you're a small business owner or you're not. You care about your local restaurant, your bar, your pharmacy, and these shops that really create community and neighborhood, and one of the reasons why so many of us are here day after day doing all of this work. So I will bring all of that, which I would do whether or not I was the chair. But I will say a few things. One, as a vice chair, I will work closely with whoever the chair is. I will be their sounding board, I will provide guidance, and I can do whatever I can do to help support them. Two, I will do the same thing with each board member. I will be there to be a sounding board, to provide guidance, and do whatever I can do to help support all of you in your role on the community board. For all the people that are not on the community board, I can be a sounding board for you as well, and I will be there to help support you. And then finally, I would say, which I think maybe this is the fourth point, is I like to try to get along with everyone, but I have no issues of putting a stake in the ground and doing what I think is right. So whether it's the chair, another member, I will help try to work through conflict. I think life is all about managing conflict. And as a board, we all need to be heard, but we all need to be heard in a structured way. So when people spend time volunteering for a meeting or coming to speak to the board, that they should feel heard and have the opportunity, but it just can't become like the wild, wild west. And I will do whatever I can do to support them. And with that, I ask for your vote, and thank you, and best of luck to everyone, and thank you, Roberta.
We're going to take a slight break from the election. No? Keep going. We're not taking a break.
Okay. Are there any questions for the
Yeah.
vice chair candidates? Yes, Rich.
So I have both a process question and a question for the candidates. The process is there a first and second chair?
Yeah,
So
I'll explain.
okay, and then my question for the candidates is, what do you think is the biggest issue facing our community right now?
Okay. Andrew?
Why don't you explain the process and let them think?
The process is that you can vote for up to 2 candidates for vice chair, and the candidate that receives the most number of votes is the first vice chair. Candidate receives the second number of votes is the second vice chair, and that's it. There are 2.
So, I hate it's like running for office and then you're already answering like a politician. I don't think I can say that there's there's the biggest issue. It's each person has their own issue. I'd say for me, I think there's 3 things. One is, I think families and young kids are critically important because they are the current and they are the future of our neighborhood, and they need to be supported. Second would be the seniors. For years, when I was in my early 20s, I led a current events group over at JASA 76. My mother ran the program and directing events at Penn South. And I could see in my experience and all the stuff my mother would share with me that how important the seniors are. They've raised the families, they've put in their time, and they deserve to stay in a community and have the opportunity to stay here if that's where they want to be and have the services that they need. So I'd say that those are the 2 most important to me. And then the third, I have to go back to just saying small business. When we walk around the city, we're here because of the streetscape. If we wanted to get in a car and drive to a strip mall, we'd probably live in the suburbs. So if we lose our small businesses and those entities that create the culture and the vibrancy, that would be horrible. So young families, seniors, and small businesses. That's 3. Thank you.
I think the answer to your question is it depends on who you ask. If you are a NYCHA resident and you don't have an elevator or a boiler, that's pretty darn important. I obviously have a vested interest in small businesses. As a commercial real estate broker, a retail broker, I represent landlords and tenants in this neighborhood. I think about that every day. That is a priority. But the really true answer is, it depends on who you ask. So I think it's important that we have so many committees for that reason. Obviously, safety is always first. You know, people's lives is the most important. Livelihoods is a close second. And that's my answer.
Since I've been steeped in the district needs statement, I have been thinking about this question a lot, and we had a discussion at the steering committee about it as well. I know that our community board has said that the 3 top district needs are affordable housing, schools, and social services, including services for seniors. And thinking about that, I think that those are definitely huge issues. Affordable housing, there's only one community board in Manhattan that doesn't have that in their top 3, and I think it's CB1, way downtown. Having 3 kids in their mid to late 20s, I know how important it is to be able to afford to live in someplace. It's, you know, as I said, my 25-year-old's waiting for the time when he can find something affordable. Schools, absolutely. I mean, you know, I served on the school board for 9 years. Schools are incredibly important. It's the fabric of the community. It's everything about who we are as a community. And as far as seniors, I mean, one of the reasons we moved to the Upper West Side was to have this. My husband hates when I say this, but it's our home before the home. So this is like where we've decided we're going to stay. And you know, I think it's really important to, number one, have resources for seniors. I know. Thank God he's not here. Have resources for seniors, and then also to make seniors aware of what resources are available to them, because a lot of people don't know.
It's interesting, not one candidate mentioned land use. Okay, so we are done with, not done, but we have heard from the vice chair candidates. Secretary candidates, there are only 2, and there are 2 open positions. So their talk is optional.
I'd say a few words if I 30 seconds. Yeah, sure.
This is Julian Giordano.
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Julian Giordano. I'm a relatively newly appointed member of the board. I've been serving since May, and I currently serve in the Transportation, Youth Education, and Libraries, and the Bylaws Task Force as well. As you can see, I'm a high school student. I'm probably the only high school, I'm definitely the only high school student in the room. For a long time, I've been really interested in government politics, specifically local government politics, and I spent the past few years interning on local campaigns and for local elected officials, helping create a block association for my neighborhood. And so it's a real privilege for me to be able to serve on this board alongside all of you. One of the things I value so much is the importance of youth and student voice at all levels of government and representation. And so I'm really grateful for the opportunity I have to be on this board representing youth across the district. I just want to say I'm really excited to be co-secretary for the coming year, and to learn more about our board and our community, and to work with all of you. So thank you.
I understand Sarah's now been inspired.
1 second. Just wanted to say I've loved being your secretary for the last year, and I'm looking forward to it again. Always let me know if there's anything I can do better. Thanks.
Okay. You each have, or should have, a ballot. Is there anyone who doesn't have a ballot? Any board member who doesn't have a ballot?
Just that, sorry.
Okay. The instructions are very simple. You vote under, the first vote you take will be designated round 1, and you vote for 1 candidate for chair. You vote for up to 2 candidates for vice chair, and you vote for up to two candidates for secretary. In the chair's race, a winner will need a majority of those present and voting. If no candidate gets a majority of the votes on the first ballot, the candidate with the fewest number of votes is dropped, and then there will be a second ballot. We'll hand out the ballots again, and you'll fill it in round 2. But for vice chair, the candidate with the most number of votes, whether or not it's a majority, is first vice chair, and the candidate with the second most votes is second vice chair. One important caveat: your vote will not be counted unless it's signed on the line that requires a signature. There's one signature for each round, so every time you vote, you have to sign. The ballots will be collected. How long?
The next 5 minutes.
Will be collected within the next 10 minutes. Well, I want to give people a chance to hear Gail. What?
You should put an X.
Yeah.
You are to put an X next to your choice. Says.
You could, yeah. If you put a Y or a Z, we don't count your ballot. All right. Any questions about the process?
All right, we're going to keep the meeting going. The election committee people will come around and take your ballot. When you voted, just hold your ballot up so they know that you voted. Your name is on the back of your, on the front of your ballot, so that they can be easily returned to you. I am now going to call on our borough president, who's been sitting here very patiently.
Thank you very much, Roberta. It's great fun to listen, and I am honored to be here with Community Board number 7. I want to thank you first for the support you're giving to the women at 107th Street. We're all getting emails. The police have been there. It's not clear who's there and who's leaving. It's very frustrating. I cannot stand the idea of 120 women who are friends, who work, many for the city of New York, and who are in this shelter being evicted. So even though DHS will say they're not mandated to leave, they are being said either sign and leave, or you may not have a place to live. So it's really wrong, and I want to thank your support. We have a letter that you have, and we are going to do everything we can to put up a fuss. So thank you, Board 7. Number 2, you know that we have been focused on a statue of women in Central Park, which now includes, as you know, 3 women: Sojourner Truth, Elizabeth, Katie Stanton, and Susan B. Anthony. It has been a drama for 5 years, but without getting into all the specifics, the final hearing is Monday, October 21st at the Public Design Commission. We are hearing from boards 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11 because the PDC, Public Design Commission, wants to get your resolutions hopefully in support. And I have to say, this is the first, only 5 women statutes in the entire city. This will be the 6th, and only 1 in Central Park. I think it's a great addition that we have these 3 women and that they're all there. So there's a lot of history behind it, but I appreciate and hope for your support. Religious facilities, we all know, and there are many in Board 7, the developer calls the religious leader and says, listen, I have lots of money, can I buy you, can I buy your air rights, can I tear down, can we build something, and you'll still have your faith-based. It's a challenge because we want the mission, we want it to continue, small or large congregations, and we also don't want to lose the streetscape. You heard earlier about the need for having streetscapes. So it is an ongoing discussion. I know when I was in the council, we did landmark West Park Presbyterian Church, and it is now surviving, I think, in terms of a cultural center. Do we repurpose these buildings? Do we keep them as they are? I know 92nd Street in Amsterdam is an unlandmarked church. They are hoping to tear down and be a building and a mission. These are the issues that we're dealing with. So we're having a whole series of task forces. Certainly there are people in the room, like some of your wonderful members, who know these challenges, but there's everything from air right challenges that might work in some cases, or repurposing, or staying the same. Government can't give them any money, obviously. So I just wanted you to know, if you're interested in this topic, please let us know. We're gonna focus on it for the next year. The census is coming up, you know that. We have given out funding to groups. Let me give an example of a group that got funding that makes a lot of sense. We gave a group money because they help, and there are people in the room, I know who are ministers and know better than I, but this group is gonna help faith-based leaders write the sermon that talks about the census all across the city. That's an example of what a small amount of money can do. Second, we're gonna train those who give food to the homebound. Who do you trust? You don't have any relatives here. You trust the person who gives you food. That person could have an online operation to be able to work with you because you're homebound, you don't know how to use a computer, to online get your census filled in. These are the challenges, not to mention all the ethnic, the languages, the president, the question, is it or is it not on the ballot? It's not on the survey, but many people think it still is. So we have to get this census, and very honestly, I want Manhattan to come in #1 in New York City. So we want you to work on this topic. I want to make that you know that we have a new historian. It's Dr. Rob Snyder. He's a professor at Rutgers, and we are putting together, and any community board that wants to help us, listing the form and opening of his tenure will be in December. We are gathering every small historian, obviously like the folks at Bloomingdale, who does history in the neighborhood. So we have thousands of people from the stickball folks in East Harlem to the Lower East Side knowledge about the Jewish community, etc. So if you know people who want to participate in a large gathering like this, never been done before, let us know. But Rob Snyder is a terrific historian. Along those lines, open house takes place October 19th when you can go places you never get into. It's all free. And we have the 1820 map that will be available at the municipal building. It's one of those huge, huge maps, takes over this whole room as an example. And you're welcome to join us. I want to just mention in terms of the storefront issue, the vacancy bill that we passed in the city council will be live pretty soon. That'll mean that every owner of any building that has a vacant storefront has to let us know as a city, and then we'll have the data. Again, I know the issue is still there. We are very focused on making Manhattan age-friendly, and every year we have something with the seniors. We usually have about 1,200, and it's going to be on October 27th from 12 noon on till 3 o'clock, probably at John Jay College. Please let us know. You're welcome to join us. We're also very focused, as young people are, on all the issues of the environment. And on Sunday, October 6th, we're having with our Solid Waste Advisory Board the Reuse, Repair, Recycle Fair at a playground on 45th Street. The whole issue is don't throw the bicycle away. Lots of people can fix it when you don't know how. We're also very focused on this paper challenge. Every time you have a pizza, Pratt in Staten Island makes the box from every piece of paper that you throw out. Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Manhattan. All of our paper goes to Staten Island. The most amazing family-owned community industry you've ever seen. So we want to, in Manhattan, we're the only borough doing this at this time, community boards can compete. Whatever your recycling was last time, you gotta beat it. And the communities will get money for the board that has the largest increase in recycling. And then you will be able to give that money to some of the environmental groups. So Board 7, get with it. Board 7 is losing, I'm sorry. Well, you have to gain. We're very focused on the budget, and then I'll end this quickly. We have information sessions coming up for the 2021 budget season. You can look at that in our material in the back. Very finally, we have on the 5th of November is the Charter 2019 ballot. 5 questions. And one of them is about voting, how you can vote in a way that where we would be able to do it in a way that means you can list people, not dissimilar from what you just heard in terms of how you list your chairs when you are voting tonight. That is #1, ranked choice voting. It is something that will go into effect if we voted in the municipal elections in 2020. And it would, I think, Maine, Minneapolis, San Francisco all do it to great success. Second, the CCRB, which is the Civilian Complaint Review Board. And I think one of the issues there was We want to make sure that police officers don't lie, and it's a big challenge. Currently, this will change the situation without getting into all the specific materials on the board, on the table back there, but there are ways in which there have been ways that the CCRB has not been able to be effective. There's a section number 3 on ethics, which I think you can understand. There's a section on budget, and there's a section on the uniform land use review procedure. I would have liked to have more teeth in the land use question, number 5, but we were not able to get through that. The mayor's office was very against pre-planning, which is what I would have liked for any kind of zoning proposal. So those are the quick, without getting into all of the details, materials in the back. Thank you very much, and